Hello, I'm Max. Nice to meet you. And this is the series Meet Max, the web conferencing edition. My first video conferencing guest is Ben Reigle. Ben is the host of the podcast My Good Friends and the founder and moderator of CoLeaders Forum, a small inclusive group of vendors, providers, and payers. Leaders who brain share to innovate and improve the way that RCM functions today and how to better improve it for the future. Along with his 15 years of working with hospitals and revenue cycle billing companies, Ben was previously the VP of Health Prize, bringing with him expertise in revenue cycle, strategy deployment, business development, and data-driven performance. Because Ben has worked for both healthcare systems and consultancies, he has a unique ability to see how problems look and to solve them from both sides of the table. Meet Ben.
Max, is that you?
This is me. How are you doing, Ben?
Good, how are you?
Love the shoe closet.
Man, this is the best recording studio in my house.
And then you're showing off the Air Jordans too. That's important. Well, I want you to give us a little bio on yourself.
Man, I started and run CoLeaders Forum, which the original idea was really simple. Can I gather the 30, 40 best leaders in the country in one spot in one location and limit the number of vendors and make it a no sales pressure, totally interactive, high challenge environment, leave your ego at the door and try to really solve big problems. I've been in rev cycle pretty much healthcare my whole career, but rev cycle pretty much my whole career. And I've been working the last, 3 or so years trying to build a community and pushing the envelope of what's possible. And so that's my thing.
What do you find as the short-term and the long-term challenges that clients are facing today?
I think in the short term, they got to figure out how to take cost out. But in the long term, they have to lower the transaction cost of every single whatever that is. If it's follow-up, they've got to lower it. I think that the ones I've been pushing my community and challenging them, honestly, they have to be thinking, how do I take 30% out long-term? Not in the short term. How do I take out 30% by the end of the year? And absolutely going to their CFO with, here's my plan to take it out. Because the alternative is they're going to get handed, cut 20% of your people tomorrow. You think hospital volumes are coming back to where they were? I got news for everybody. It's not happening.
You mean as far as folks coming in for electives or folks using telemed more?
Well, telemed's here to stay. That's the future. So you're going to have to figure it out. And I think electives are going to take way longer than people think. And some of those, a lot of it, you just lost. People aren't going to have them. They're not coming in for them, or they don't need them anymore, or for whatever reason, or they, So I don't know, I can't read the tea leaves. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't think ER volume's coming back to the way it was. People are going to have to, they're going to have to make some tough decisions. I think the remote work from home for me has always been a thing that I think knew was coming. This is the tipping point that I don't think you're going to get back from. The harder thing is going to be the leadership shift. Because we are going to be, I think this is probably the biggest shift in leadership in maybe ever, because it's going to change how we actually lead people. So you have to be super intentional about the things that will go, you don't get when you're with everybody in the same place. Have a core group, but that core group maybe we never see anymore. I think the dynamics of that could change rapidly. I think the days of the Q farm on a massive scale could be gone. Maybe you never even see your person. You hire so-and-so who lives in Albuquerque at quarter of half the rate, and you never meet them. That is absolutely the future, and you're stealing talent. So that's why my latest thing is I think the talent war should be top priority for rev cycle people right now, because you're not competing anymore regionally. You're competing with everyone. The organizations that move quickly to that and really treat their people really well. And, I'm even talking about hey, welcome package. When they show up, they've got a brand new laptop. They've got it set up. That's what Apple does to their people. There's no reason you can't do a similar thing and just have the best people, but they're all over the country.
How are they going to handle something this epic in the future?
An access point of view is, I think they have to create a touchless environment. They have to create an environment in which they're not having the registration people, financial counselors. They're not seeing anybody anymore. So how they create that, I don't exactly know. I know that they're going to have to. So they're, coming out of this is going to be a whole different way that they're going to have to do all that work. It may require less people. I don't know, but there's got to be a different way to do it. People are going to have to think differently.
How are the providers understanding what's out there and what's available as far as solutions?
I don't think they are, to be honest, on a major scale. I think a lot of provider leaders see it as a necessary evil to like take a phone call. I know a few providers who are like, I set aside time, and I want to hear what's going on and hear from people. So there's some of those progressives, but there's not a lot of those. And I think that what's being demanded on the rev cycle leader today is significant. It's overwhelming, especially if you don't have a team that's really, really good below you. So yeah, I think it's been hard for vendors over the last 5 years because the tactics that used to work they don't work anymore. We did a number of podcasts on sales already because I think it's changed so much. End of the day, can you add value and continue to add value? And when they really need you, they're going to call you.
That's right.
And sometimes it's not even the provider. The provider really they may love the product. They're like, I'll use it tomorrow. But they implemented Epic 2 years ago, and the IT group's like, we're not doing that. That's number 30 on the list of stuff you want to do. And so I think they're strapped in a way of like limited in what they can do anymore, anyways. And I do think innovation has suffered because of that, and not necessarily anyone's like direct fault. Like we don't have provider leaders who aren't thinking innovation. They're just like they're strapped. They're trying to like implement a $300 million system.
So do you think now things are turning back to normal?
I don't think there is a normal.
The new normal, as they say?
No. And I don't think we'll know exactly what that will look like.
Can you give us a summary of how you feel now and how you feel about the future when it comes to revenue cycle management for both the provider side and the vendor side?
How do I feel now? How do I feel about the future? I think the mistake now, and I see a lot of people, I think, putting this out there that, this is a huge opportunity and you need to move, and I think the mistake there would be not to take a moment and just have some grief and just accept it as what it is, that, we lost stuff. People, process, the way things were. And just even acknowledgement of that and take the time that we've been given, unfortunately, or forced into. I just see too many people like with this, uber positive, which I don't really believe is, doesn't even come across as genuine to me, to be honest. There is going to be opportunity. Absolutely. Things are going to change. Things are going to be different, but, it's okay to take a moment to grieve. That's what I would say now. In the future, I think it's been on the scope for a long time, but to say that we can do the same thing we were doing 10 years ago or 5 years ago or even a year ago, it's just not true. People are going to have to figure out how to kind of fundamentally shift what they're doing so that they can lower the costs and meet the need of they're going to have to meet. And that's going to be both on access and billing and, all those things. And, and probably sit down with your payers and be like, this ain't working because people aren't paying us. so there's that problem right off the bat. People aren't paying us and we're negotiating contracts that aren't going to make it for us. And so how do we do things better? I think the future is uncertain, but I also think if anything, this has proven that people can get it done. They send people home in less than 48 hours. Telehealth at most places went from 100 visits a week to 4,000 or 5,000. So I think hopefully it teaches everybody that just to have red tape and everything has to be exactly perfect, it doesn't.
Well, thank you very much, Ben. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
It's really great to meet you this way. And then hopefully we can run into each other real time, face to face. And I'm going to continue to follow you and learn a lot from you.
I appreciate it.